Please welcome Points of Light board member, Nick Custides.
All right, welcome back, and welcome to Mobilizing Volunteers in Times of Disaster. You know, I'm not just only a proud Points of Light board member, but since we had Big Brown up here, I just want to say that I'm also a retired 29-year UPSer. This session is part of our Civic Talk series created to bring us together for focused, substantive dialogue on the most pressing issues facing our communities. As climate change accelerates, natural disasters are becoming more frequent, more intense, and more costly. In 2024, the US faced the second highest number of major disasters since FEMA began tracking them in 1979. Now that's a sobering milestone that reinforces the need for action. Now, as most of you know, volunteers are often the first to show up, and they're the last ones to leave. They're a vital force, not only in the immediate aftermath of a disaster, but long-term in recovery and also in blue sky preparation for future disasters. The question we explore today is not if volunteers should be mobilized, but it's how do we responsibly, effectively, and with care for the communities we serve, assemble them. We're joined by leaders from across the globe, people who have weathered these storms, literally and figuratively, and are shaping how we respond better the next time there's a disaster. I also want to encourage everybody here today to take this conversation one step further by joining Hands On New Orleans for our Civic Park Service project, where we'll be assembling shelter-in-place kits to help prepare for Category 1 to Category 3 storms. It's a simple but very powerful way to put today's insights into action. So now, please join me in welcoming Judd Johnson from Volunteer Louisiana and our panelists. Let's get started.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you all back here today. Welcome to our Civic Talk on Mobilizing Volunteers in Times of Disaster. My name is Judd Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of Volunteer Louisiana, and I'll be moderating today's conversation on preparedness, response, recovery, and resilience. Today's conversation could not be more timely or relevant. June 1st marked the start of the 2025 hurricane season, and while that may be news to the new FEMA director, the people in this city and this state are keenly aware of it and understand the havoc that can be wreaked by natural disasters. This August will mark 20 years since Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana, and since that time, we've had 14 other hurricanes that have made landfall in the state since then. As Nick mentioned, we're all bearing witness to the impact of climate change on both the frequency and intensity of weather events across the globe. That is certainly the case in the US, but we've gotten a lot more adept at building resilience through preparedness, response, and recovery. Technology has certainly been a friend, sometimes a foe, in this evolution, and there's been a real professionalization and a specialization across all sectors of the disaster world in the last 20 years. However, we find ourselves in a moment of unprecedented uncertainty. As Jennifer mentioned this morning, the role of our federal partners, including FEMA and AmeriCorps that have been so critical in previous disasters, have been cast into doubt. So there's a lot that we don't know right now, but one thing we do know is that disasters will not wait around until we figure it out. We've got to be ready for whatever's coming. So we'll have to be nimble in our planning, nimble in our response, and we'll need to address resource deficits and other challenges in a way that is still centered on survivors and uplifting those communities in need. I am honored, and all of us are fortunate to have with us today just an outstanding panel, as Nick said, spanning the globe from local to Brazil, covered today. So we'll go ahead and get started. They're going to share with us their experience and insight. We'll start with introductions. I'll ask each of you to talk a little bit about your organization and what drives your passion for the work that you do. And I'll set the table. I'll start. My name is Judd Johnson. As I said, I serve as the Executive Director of Volunteer Louisiana. We are the State Service Commission in the Office of Lieutenant Governor. And I also serve as Board Chair for ASK, America's Service Commissions. At Volunteer Louisiana, our mission is to strengthen communities through national service and volunteerism, and we do that in 3 ways. First, we are the state grant-making agency for AmeriCorps. Louisiana has had 3,500 AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps seniors serving in over 400 locations in the state. We're very proud of that, and we've hosted thousands of AmeriCorps NCCC members engaged in disaster response and recovery since Hurricane Katrina. We're also heavily engaged in disaster services. We're the state lead for CERT, Community Emergency Response Team trainings. We're charged in the state's emergency operations plan with coordinating spontaneous, unaffiliated volunteers in times of disaster. And we have a permanent ex officio seat on the board of Louisiana VOAD, that's Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. And we promote volunteerism and Blue Sky Days through our volunteer awards, including our Champion of Service Awards, and we actually have a previous Champion of Service Awards winner with us on the stage today. I personally am passionate about this work because I've seen the power and seen the human impact of volunteerism in both Blue Sky and Gray Sky Days. As Juju mentioned this morning, volunteerism impacts not only the people served, but the people who are serving. Service builds empathy, something that seems to be a little bit in short supply these days, something we could all use a lot more of. And I've watched AmeriCorps members in particular translate their year of service into a lifetime of community engagement, leadership, and compassion for others. Honored to be with you here today. And let's meet our outstanding panelists. Madeline, you're up first. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm a Resilience and Recovery Fellow with SBP placed in Mobile, Alabama, just 2 hours east of here. SBP was founded in the aftermath of Katrina as a rebuilding organization. And while rebuilding remains an essential part of the work that we do today, we also wondered how can we help communities long before and long after a disaster strikes to reduce the time between disaster and recovery. Out of that idea came the Fellows Program. The Fellows Program is a unique cross-sector partnership where a private foundation or industry will then fund a fellow hired and trained by SBP, a national organization, who is then partnered with a local organization, government, nonprofit, and a small to mid-sized community to help them access information and resources to create critical resilience actions within that community. It ultimately results in a collaborative and community-based process to develop resilient solutions within these small to mid-sized communities. So you can see above me here on my presentation, we have our CEO, Carol Markowitz, who is also attending the Points of Light conference with me, engaging with officials from the city of Mobile and local nonprofits as we discuss ways to expand SBB programming to really help address critical gaps and needs within Mobile, Alabama. Thank you.
Thanks, Madeline. Of course, SBP started after Hurricane Katrina in this region. Amy, you are a local. You have weathered Katrina and beyond. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization.
So after Hurricane Katrina, I became what I called a rogue do-gooder and then realized that there's a better way to do things and to be a little bit more official about it. Fill the Needs is a local New Orleans organization, and we're focused very much on those critical first 14 days after a disaster before large organizations have the opportunity to mobilize. We're on the ground getting local knowledge and building local networks. Our partners cross many different styles of organizations and volunteers, everything from faith-based groups to the YMCA, to your local high school volleyball team, because we realize that local know-how and local commitment is there for the long term after a disaster. And the more we can build that network and strengthen that network with knowledge, we can build resilience in that community. You see here a photo of a 747. I like to say that all of us in disaster relief are also chaos wranglers. When someone offers your organization something, you say yes, right? You never say no, you say yes and you figure it out. That 747 was for Maui, for our effort there. And after I said yes, I realized that a 747 is not allowed to land on the runway in Maui because it's too big. But we got a yes and we're able to do it. And so I think a lot of what we do, and I think you'll hear a lot of people in disaster relief do, is build those networks that can help us get to yes, but that can help us get to recovery and resilience, and how can we build back better the next time and prevent this from happening.
Thanks, Amy. I mentioned that we have a Champion of Service award winner with us. That was Amy just a few years ago. And if any of you are going to be in Geneva, Switzerland on Friday, raise your hand. If you are there, you can see Amy address the United Nations on Friday. So let's give her a
Thank you.
Jeff, a lot of folks are familiar with the gray shirts. Tell us about yourself and Team Rubicon.
Yeah, first of all, let me just say I'm extremely humbled to be on this stage and in front of this team. I mean, what a wonderful group. You know, I think about the power that's in this room, and it is humbling. Plus, there's a lot of you, and it's a little, intimidating. So take that in turn. So my name's Jeff Byard, and it's a great day to be a gray shirt. You're going to hear me refer to our volunteers as gray shirts. That's our uniform, and that is the only title that matters in Team Rubicon. So it's a great day to be a gray shirt. Team Rubicon is a global organization, a veteran-led organization whose real mission is to help those before, during, and after disaster. We started in 2010 after the earthquake in Haiti. Eight individuals went down without uniforms, without a name, and quickly, to Jake Wood, understood that veterans have a unique capability of service, and they have a unique skill set that kind of resonates in disaster zones and chaos, calm to chaos, order to chaos. So I joined the team in 2020 as the Vice President of Operations, Vice President of Emergency Management at the time. I'm the Vice President of Operations now. Prior to that, I had a lot of time in the government, about 18 years or so, doing this kind of work in the government. And why I went to Team Rubicon is I wanted to do the last mile. I've got service, I've got skills that I've learned over the years, and I wanted to really be on the tippy, the pointy end of the spear that's helping those in truly in need. So just thankful to Points of Light for having us here, and really humbled to be in front of this team. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. We mentioned that we have global representation, and all the way from Brazil. Daniel has come to join us. Daniel, tell us a little bit about your organization and the work that you do.
Sure. Thank you. And I'm very happy to be here. I'm working in Brazil, and we are an organization that is an affiliate of Points of Light in Brazil. So we connect volunteers and nonprofits. We have a network about 300,000 volunteers and 5,000 nonprofits. And it was really cool for us in 2013 when we were starting. We were in the first year of operation, and Points of Light called us and told, you do a work that is similar to us. Do you want to be part of something bigger? And we were doing like scratching the work that we had to do. Like we were discovering by ourselves, and suddenly we are part of a network that is about 120 affiliates around the world, a lot in US, but a lot in Manila, in Spain, in Brazil as well. And we learn a lot with Points of Light and also with disasters. So it's something that we are dealing in the recent years in Brazil, because we are not used with hurricanes or earthquakes in Brazil, but now we are having a lot of floods. And so we are developing projects about disaster. And one of them, it's about this project that I'm wearing. It's a bracelet that we teach women that that are victims of a natural disaster, how to build these bracelets. And we partner with stores, with retailers, and with e-commerce platforms to sell these bracelets and to tell the message and to start a conversation and also generate income for women. So we are now making for them possible to buy a fridge, to buy a refrigerator, to buy a sofa, and to start a new life with this project. I'm happy to share about this story with all of you. Thank you.
Great. We have a rock star panel. Rock star panel. So let's dive right into the content. Our first theme that we'll discuss is preparedness. We'll explore some of the proactive steps that organizations and partners can take in blue sky days before a disaster strikes. So the general question that I have, and then we'll get into some specifics, is just, I'd like for you all to discuss the role of partnerships, especially cross-sector partnerships, national, local partnerships, as well as the role of volunteers in preparedness. Jeff, we're going to start with you. As a national organization, how does Team Rubicon form and maintain those local partnerships that remain ready for rapid deployment in times of disaster?
That's a great question, and you know, we are a national organization, but I always tell people we're as local can be. We have 180,000 gray shirts. Each one of those are, you know, in the community, and they're part of that community. And all disasters begin and end locally. So, you know, the national piece of that allows us to bring additional horsepower in, but it's all to support that local gray shirt who's supporting their community. Two kind of points that we do at Team Rubicon, or two initiatives that we have. We have developed through partnerships and updated over the years a Resilient Cities Playbook. And what that is, it talks about the size of different locations, what's needed from our volunteer leaders as far as engagement, number of gray shirts, recruiting techniques, and most importantly, or not most importantly, but equally as importantly, the type of training. We deal with a lot of chainsaws, a lot of heavy equipment, and we have some really, really motivated volunteers. And the last thing you want is 30 gray shirts untrained with chainsaws. Something's going to happen, and it may not be good, but something will get done. But the real goal of that is to have the local connections, capabilities, and capacity to respond swiftly to the disaster. We operate by speed to need, and what that means is if you're not there when needed, chances are when you get there, you're not going to be needed. So we want to operate, we want to be there quickly. So that's kind of an internal, process that we have across the country. We also, our big preparedness, kind of blue sky initiatives, we do a lot of service projects. We've done 253 across the country today, and those are generally with partner organizations. Some of you in this room, and a lot of the times they're not disaster related. We may clean a park, we may help Habitat build a house, we may do some local training. You know, we do a lot of partnerships, but what that does for us as well, it builds resilience within that local team, right? If 5 gray shirts are together on a weekend, chances are when that disaster hits, they know each other, they know each other's phone number, they've got the connections, and they can move out. So a little bit of internal, but partnerships, and I think you'll hear it across. Hell, this room knows it all too well. Partnerships and relationships are what matter. That's how we get it. That's how we get it done. So, and we're always looking for new partnerships, right? So.
And we were happy to partner recently with Team Rubicon to host some chainsaw trainings at the state parks. Mm-hmm. Office of State Parks is also in the Office of Lieutenant Governor, so it's not just nonprofit to nonprofit, corporate to corporate. It's the government sector can also be involved in that partnership. So appreciate that. Madeline, you've talked about this a little bit already, but can you talk about a little bit more about the Fellows Program and some of the successes that you've had in building community resilience and trust in Blue Sky Days?
Yeah, so a key part of the Fellows Program is this is a cross-sector program. So even though I'm placed with the City of Mobile in the Office of Resilience,